All right, let's get to it. You know, Downtown Greensboro Incorporated was a nonprofit started in around 1997 to help manage a municipal service district. And so we are not the business improvement district, but we're the organization that was hired to manage it. The things that we do, and this has evolved, and you think about it as I digress, this is my 9th year doing this. I think the first year we had it at what is now, what's known as the Crest Building in Suite 200, and we had about 80 people. To see the amount of people we have here today is amazing, and I think it shows the growth that you've seen in downtown over 9 years. And then how we relay things out at Downtown Greensboro Incorporated and what we work on. Business recruitment and retention, we'll talk about. Marketing and branding of downtown, not the organization. That's not our intent. Our intent is to market and brand the community. Public space, safety, and management. That's going to be a hot topic today. Events, civic engagement. What we do to bring the community together. You know, we can't have the parties that we have in neighborhoods, but we can have events and civic engagement that bring people together, and everybody's downtown. And I would tell you, many of you in this room that I spoke to earlier, the advocacy and education services, that has played a large role in what we do. It's advocating on behalf of our business owners, our property owners, and quite frankly, the people that visit downtown. Advocacy is a huge role in what we do for the Business Improvement District. How we're funded. This is a question we get asked often. Like, we're mostly funded by the special tax. And so what happened back in 97 to 2001, the property owners by majority voted to levy a special tax on their properties. Okay? That goes into, through the county, through the taxes, to the city, to Downtown Greensboro Incorporated. So it's not property taxes, it's a special tax. That tax makes up about 49% of our Downtown Greensboro Incorporated's budget. We go out and seek other grants, funds to operate the total capacity of what we get. So the return on investment for the city is well over 100% of what the business improvement tax gets. We're going to talk about the right slide. I know it's a little bit small, and I know we got other screens. I'm going to show you how we break that down. Again, this is my 9th year. Where have we been? Where are we? And where are we going? What have we accomplished 9 to 10 years? How about the news that keeps coming out? This was by 24/7 Wall Street. Unbeknownst to us, they ranked the booming economies, the booming downtowns throughout the entire country. So this little number here of 4% was a population change of non-downtowns. In our area, we were 4%. Downtown Greensboro, 21.6%. So if you invest in downtown, do you get a return on investment? The answer is yes. Per capita income, we talk a lot about how do we make our citizens wealthier? How do we not live in poverty? Per capita income rose outside of downtown, 6%. In downtown, 17.4%. These are huge numbers. There was another one, the Vitality Index at the business journals throughout the country. Not just the Triad Business Journal, the business journals throughout the country. Where does Greensboro rank? And if you're, this is, again, another third party. We ranked higher than most. I think we were 10 out of 45 downtown markets that they cover. That means the business journals cover 45 markets. We were ranked 10 out of those 45. It goes from Milwaukee, Boston, Kansas City, D.C., Sacramento, up to Miami, Florida. Folks, we didn't pay for that. That's what you're actually getting in your downtown, that we're growing. We had another article somebody just mentioned to me today that was in the Business Journal, how we fared so much better than people realize. I'm not going to say everything's roses, because it's not. But I will tell you this, we're a heck of a lot better off than we were 10 years ago. Visits, and this really stems from, I was in a meeting with some business owners, and they said, Zach, you got to get more people downtown. We don't have enough people coming downtown. I said, God, that's a good question. How do you get more people coming downtown? How many people are coming downtown? So we invested in this data. It's called Placer AI. Have you ever heard of AI? Well, they're tracking your cell phone. When they say Big Brother's watching, guess what? They do. And so the thing was taking what people feel and turning it into what is the actual numbers. And on the weekends, since pre-COVID, we are getting more than 100,000 visitors a weekend after COVID than we got before COVID. Before COVID, it was pretty good. Total visits in downtown in 2023. That means the total people that came downtown in 2023, 8.6 million visits. They always correct me on that. That means you counted a couple of times. 8.6 million visits. I love the Coliseum. I visited the Coliseum. I'm coming up. There's a huge concert August 3rd and 4th, Mike. Zach Bryan's coming up. You got Nate Bargatze. They got amazing stuff. I think I'm going to Sam Hunt Friday night. They had 2.4 million visits. As awesome as the Coliseum is for our community, we triple what they do in visits. That's amazing. We're getting more people downtown, 8.4 million, 8.5 million, 8.6 million on a town of 300,000 is incredible. The numbers are incredible. This is incredible. 70% of the folks visiting downtown Greensboro come from more than 5 miles away. So we're not just getting the folks that live in walking distance. We're getting folks finally that are re-engaging with downtown. And to put the 8.6 million in perspective, the Tanger Center, which I absolutely support, I think got about 427,000 people in the last 12 months. That's less than about 20% of what our total visits are in downtown Greensboro. And it's packed. Then the question was, where does downtown Greensboro, just in the Business Improvement District, rank, and what do we give back to the city, the county, and the state of North Carolina? So the Business Improvement District has about $1 billion tax base. If you count property tax, sales tax, income tax, anything, the hotel motel tax, which we're growing finally, to the city of Greensboro, it equates to $9.4 million directly into the city's budget. Guilford County's budget is $12 million. North Carolina's budget, $68.6 million. We haven't received too many grants from the state, but this is a statistic that's true that I plan to show them in hopes to get their attention to help us continue to grow downtown Greensboro. What's our economic impact? You hear a lot about economic impact. What does something mean? The airport does a phenomenal job of discussing the economic impact. The Coliseum and the sports tourism does a phenomenal job. So I got the idea of thinking, well, what does the Downtown Business Improvement District economic impact mean to the city, the county, and the state? So we have 17,102 jobs. I guess that's give or take one, right? I mean, this is an advisory group called KB Advisory. This is not Downtown Greensboro Incorporated numbers. This is not the city's numbers. This is a third party's number. The earnings off those 17,000 jobs are $1.3 billion. That gross sales in downtown Greensboro that goes in the economic impact to the city of Greensboro is $1.9 billion. Is that significant? Let's go to the county. County, the economic impact is 30,000 jobs. The earnings on those jobs are $1.7 billion. The gross sales are $3.2 billion. Is that an economic impact, ladies and gentlemen? That's what we've done. The state of North Carolina, and I told our representatives this about a month ago when we met, the economic impact of our jobs is a mere $37,200. The earnings off that to them, $2.2 billion. And the gross sales that equates to the state of North Carolina on our economic impact just in the Business Improvement District, which does not cover an entire downtown, is $4 billion. I know what you're thinking. Can't be right. Joseph Shore is around here somewhere, At the end of this, feel free to ask him. He'll back up every question you got. These are real numbers, ladies and gentlemen. This is the economic impact of your Downtown Greensboro Business Improvement District. It's amazing. What else have we done? Where have we been? In the last 10 years, we've given over $800,000 back to the community in grants, whether facade grants, catalyst grants, retail revitalization grants. We did a recruitment retention grant. We worked with our chamber. We do something a lot of folks don't know how to do. We collaborate when we can allow to collaborate. We collaborated with the Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Alliance. We retained the Fresh Market. The Fresh Market is headquartered in downtown Greensboro. So again, trying to give back. The Abbey, the Quarter, new restaurant, which I'll talk about again in a little bit. Where we are, significant moment. Where are we going? Where are we? That was where we've been. Where are we now? Since January 2023, in an economy that some have said has slowed, we've opened 31 new businesses. 31. A cool thing in this, if you can see this little number, it says 63. 63%. 63% are minority owned. People tell me all the time that it's not everybody's downtown until it's everybody's downtown. Folks, y'all need to visit downtown more, which obviously y'all do. 63% are minority owned. That's incredible. I said visits, 8.6 million. When I got the question again, I go back to how are you going to get people more downtown? How are you going to do it? What do you do it? The unique visitors, which means, and this is something Joseph can tell you, this doesn't count workers and it doesn't count residents. Because what the way they figure out how many unique visitors is they take out certain times. If you've extended your time over a period, they know you're a worker or they know you're a resident. We, in the last 12 months in 2023, downtown Greensboro saw 1.8 unique visitors. I said, so how does that compare to Friendly Shopping Center? Friendly Shopping Center saw 1.6 million unique visitors. Think about that for a second. Friendly Shopping Center has, I call it the Taj Mateater. I mean, that Harris Teeter is amazing. They got a Whole Foods. That's an Amazon drop-off. You don't even have to go shopping at Whole Foods. You can just drop packages off or pick them up. They got a movie theater. They got a Chick-fil-A. Think about what Friendly Shopping Center has over us. But we've got 200,000 more unique visitors than they do. Come down on a Sunday afternoon and just watch people. It's like being at the airport. Watching people's amazing. The pipeline, which I'll talk about in a little bit, the 17,000 workers I've mentioned, 1,550 companies. That's amazing. These are numbers that staggered me. That's the economic impact of what we are today. This is recruitment, retention. We've talked about the 31 new businesses. The cool thing about this, not only that it's 63% minority owned, it's also not just on Elm Street. We're not on Elm Street right now. It doesn't hurt to not be on Elm Street. We're growing wider. We're growing north. We're growing south. We're growing in general. Pangea, Melrose Cafe, Neighbors, Awu, the Abbey right behind us, Inca Grill. We're bringing in a lot of new restaurants. Services, Buck Baby Bliss. This Aggie Pride just opened in the south side that helps with working mothers that are going to be mothers go through that process. Working downtown. The Fiber Space Collective. She opened not one business. It was so successful, she decided to open another one next door. And so we're able to help folks grow their business, retain their business, open a business. That's today. Natty Greens, Chris and Ashley Lester are in the audience. They've been here, like some of you, like my friend Becky calls it, who owns The View, a wonderful store. Chris and Ashley opened Natty Greens 20 years ago. Actually, August 4th will be their 20th anniversary. did they stop there? I mean, I remember during COVID, they replaced the kitchen floor. They keep making investments. They upgraded it. They changed their menu. They keep evolving. And not only that, they're like, I just want to invest more money in downtown Greensboro because we believe in it and we're going to get a return on investment. And how validating is it that a family decides to just invest more money, another $3 million. And I bet this is going to be a pretty active space for a lot of people in this room and a lot of tourists that come in here. Recently opened businesses. This is the Quarter. If you haven't been to the Quarter, I see Joel and Wade here. They'll tell you that's a terrible picture of the Quarter, right? Isn't it? You know why I did that? Because if you haven't been to the Quarter, you need to go to the Quarter because it's active, it's awesome, and you'll be sitting there thinking, this is Lewis Street in downtown Greensboro? The Quarter's amazing. It's amazing. This, Pura Vida. This is the former Tranquillo space. We worked with the property owners. Pura Vida will be opening soon. It's a Caribbean cocktail lounge bar. It's going to be awesome. Muddle in the south end near Mellow Mushroom and Bonchon. And this is a new art gallery that's located on the corner of February 1 and Elm Street. I used to call it the former Notion building because it was empty for a while. This gentleman brought his art gallery from a little place called Maui. And I don't know if y'all remember what happened a few years ago in Maui. There were significant fires. So he decided to move. And he's in Greensboro and opened up an art gallery at the corner of February 1 and Elm, which is now owned by the group that owns Photo Business, a long-time downtown business here, which is relocated there. So it's not just opening bars and restaurants. It's opening art, culture, and services. Marketing. How are we marketing? So our reach and our followers, we grew 14,000 followers on Instagram last year. Last year, 14,000. Right now, we have followers, over 36,000 followers on Instagram alone. That's amazing. So the reach of people that saw it in 2023 is 643,000. 14 is key, and Cassie Richardson, who's here somewhere, can talk about that. Facebook followers, we're continuing to grow. But the cool thing about this slide is something you probably can't see a whole lot, is how we connect and advocate for the business owners that are in downtown. In this case, where Cassie goes and reaches with Pura Vida, they started with 4,800 followers. When she got done, 48 hours later, they were at 6,000 because of how social media and the digital marketing works. So that's the part of advocacy and education that DGI brings to the table, which Cassie does. So growing that reach, growing that momentum, telling the story, which Greensboro, quite frankly, I've said for 20 years, we don't do a great job of. Well, we're doing a better job of it now. And we're not doing it for DGI, we're doing it for the businesses that are located in downtown Greensboro. Events and community partners, civic engagement. Again, I go back to what does that civic engagement look like? Where else can you have a tree lighting that gets 50,000 people? The A&T Gospel Choir really sets the stage when you're talking about starting off the holiday season. We've talked about more events and how we do the holiday parade, none of which we did when, quite frankly, I took over 9 years ago. We didn't really do events. But one of the things through what I've seen lately and what y'all have seen is the need for those underserved and underprovided citizens in our community. So not only are we throwing events and parties like beach music or the holiday parade, we partnered with Cone Health for Health Equity this year. I will tell you, and my fellow council people know, I talk about homelessness a lot. I've talked about with y'all a lot. We've got some serious cases out there, and we've got to do something. And instead of just sitting back waiting for folks that are in the job to do it, we reached out to Cone Health and had a free 5-screen health test set up at the depot so that folks could take the bus, come, get the health screenings they need to try to get them the services they need. And I'll tell you, it was interesting, the larger statistic on this, by the way, it's free, of course, was the individuals seeking help with mental illness more than anything. And it was an eye-opening experience. But we're not stopping. We're going to do another one with Cone Health because we believe in the health equity of others creates a better community. On that, public space and public safety. A couple years ago, 3 years ago, I think this is our third year, we were able to create in partnership with the city, the Downtown Hospitality Team, which I saw Sean, I don't know if he's in here somewhere. He's in the back. He always kind of takes the back seat, but he's the front row. How many of y'all have called or worked with the ambassadors? Yeah, they're amazing. I can tell you they've connected over 200 people back to their families or to health and human services, to substance areas, substance abuse, so they could get the help that they need. They've had umbrellas walk into cars or to offices. They'll just walk with you if you're walking alone, whether you're male or female at night, just to help you feel safe. They've even moved furniture, which I said, please don't do that anymore. Let's slow down on that. Last year, they had 97,000 engagements with individuals. 93,000 engagements, 7 people. 93,000 engagements. They won the Police Chief's Award. That was an annual award. The only reason we only touched 93,000 folks is because we don't have enough staff. What I'd love to see is caseworkers be part of this, where we actually have caseworkers in the urban area, Greenway Inn or outside the Greenway Inn, so that we can make a greater impact on the folks that are in need. Because we've got situations out there that y'all have seen that are troubling. We've got a lady that is living on the street that we're trying to help every day. And it's challenging, and it's challenging for the folks that are on the team. But they do a phenomenal job, and Sean and his team have been able to partner with Bernita Sims, the Continuum of Care, a lot better. It's smoother now, and we'll be able to get even more people help. So the Downtown Ambassador team is probably, if I had to say over the last 9 years, one of the best things Downtown Greensboro Incorporated has done is the Downtown Ambassador team. Public space initiatives will continue to try to dress up downtown. We're going to launch some new initiatives to try to have more things to spark interest, to spark ideas, to spark engagement. The advocacy and education. One of the things that when we took over was how do you engage? So we developed a downtown retailers meeting that meets monthly. And so one of the things, and restaurants as well, is trying to go to different locations. This one's actually here. We had one recently last month that transformed. The other one before that was Acme. I think the other one before that was Melrose Cafe on Church Street, where we continue to engage. One of the things that comes out of that, or has come out of that, again, I'll refer to Cassie Richardson, our digital marketing manager, is can you help me with social media? So as part of our advocacy and partnership is her educating whoever social media person is on their team how to build your base, how to build those reaches, how to build those followers. And that's a service that we offer to folks, and they're taking advantage of it, and it's working. So advocacy and education. And y'all know I get many calls, whether it's parking, whether it's unsheltered, whether it's economic development, permitting. Advocacy is where we spend a lot of time. So that's where we are. And it's interesting, and I digress a little bit. 10 years ago, I gave a talk before Downtown Greensboro Incorporated. And I said, what is our vision? Where are we going? What's the vision? And I put in there, you've got the airport. The airport's huge, Honda Jet. Honda Jet 10 years ago wasn't the Honda Jet today. The mega site. The mega site 10 years ago wasn't the mega site. I think we had just voted on water and sewer 10 years ago. The urban loop. I think I said, we got to get it finished. We got to get it finished. Do you remember those days when it wasn't finished? And that how downtown is in the center of it all and remains. So you go to where we are today. Where are we today? The urban loop's done. That was the weirdest ribbon cutting I've ever been a part of when you're in the middle of a highway. The mega site. How about Toyota? Congresswoman Manning was there Tuesday morning when they announced a $2 million gift to the Guilford County and Randolph County schools. I mean, a $2 million gift to help build STEM programs. They've already invested, or investing $13.5 billion. They've got over 5,000 jobs that they're going to hire, but they keep investing in the kids so that they can keep hiring and make the best community we can get. The mega site far exceeded expectations. The airport. We got Honda Jet. They just announced last year they're building a bigger one. Then we got Marshall Aviation. Then you got Boom. I don't know about y'all. I was a little nervous about Boom. Didn't know what was going to happen. But how about the first prototype in the Mojave Desert being successful? This is real. If you haven't been to the airport, it's huge. And then the East Greensboro connection. Publix. I toured Publix the other day. That place is phenomenal. It's huge. I can't imagine, and it's smaller than Toyota. But Publix, wear your jacket if you get a tour because it's cold, but it's phenomenal. And downtown's in the center of it all. And the reason why you got to pull it back to downtown is when Brent Christensen took Toyota to see the mega site. You're looking at trees and field at the time. What do? Brought them downtown. Brought them to a baseball game. Sean Suggs addressed us recently to a group similar to this and said, if you don't have a vibrant downtown, we can't recruit jobs and you're not going to recruit businesses. Downtown is the center of it all. When you recruit a business, they want to know how vibrant your downtown is. And that's the reality of today. And then my thought process is, where we're going 10 years from now. We did a 2030 plan in 2019. Where are we going 2040? That's what I need you all thinking. Like, where are we as a community together going to plan it out for 2040? Where we're going? That's a lot. But you can't stop. Y'all have seen some construction on 523 North Spring Street. It's been a little slow, as y'all know. The joke is that there's a river flowing under downtown Greensboro. That's not false. I think Mr. Marshall told me this week, if you could get the river to quit flowing, I could get this project done a lot faster. And I said, just tell me when you're going to be done. And he said, by 2024, we'll be done. Hopefully by the end of this year, they'll be done. The Maryland and Dean Green Rehearsal Hall that I mentioned earlier. This is great because we took an empty storefront, or they did, Lisa Crawford and the Greensboro Symphony, and they're going to make that space active where you can watch and listen to our Greensboro Symphony, which is a phenomenal asset to the community, quite frankly, the state of North Carolina, that you'll be able to see on the corner. The 1899 Depot, and I was talking to Donald earlier, who's with us, who's with NC Rail. They're actively engaged with a group. They're going to help fundraise and create this. And as Donald and I talked about today, we're going to have no problem filling this building and taking it back to the original structure. It's going to cost a lot of money. So on behalf of Donald, if there's any preservationists out there that would like to talk to him, he'd love to talk to you. The AC Hotel, I see Miss Carol's here. I know you're as eager as I am to get that going. Hopefully that's going to get going by the end of this year. 9 stories with a rooftop restaurant and more apartments. This is going to further grow us to the west. Coming soon. These are properties you may or may not know that have been acquired, and we're in active discussions on how to develop. The poorhouse section. If you know the poorhouse section near Greensboro PD. This building was acquired late last year, and we're talking with the property owners to figure out the highest and best use for that. It's probably not going to be the building that's there. I think it's going to be a much more significant investment. So there is more to come on that, but I wanted to show you some things that have taken place. Perry's Exxon. How many of you knew that that's sold? Few. You must be in the real estate business. Or you're Perry. Perry's Exxon was sold last week or 2 weeks ago. I will tell you that the family is known for hospitality that purchased the building, and we would love, want to see something vibrant there. It's in a great location and sold for a nice value. Fordham Drug, rumor has it that there's conversations that are going to be that are in process, that we should have an announcement pretty soon on activating that space that, quite frankly, has been empty for, I think, close to 30 years. And I can tell you that I'm pushing for it with the people that are in charge, and that will be another big deal. And then Triad Stage. That obviously went through a tough situation, but I see the future being extremely bright on Triad Stage. They've engaged a consultant to make sure that they retrofit that building into a terrific live entertainment performance that will meet all of our desires. When I say that, it's not necessarily one genre. It is another live music venue, but also you're going to have activations on the front. That building will be used more going forward than it has ever been used in the past. And there's more to come on that, but if I don't tell you some things, you leave here empty-handed. But I'll just tell you, the group that they've engaged, they did a nonprofit sale where they basically gave a lot of stuff out. The building's cleaned out predominantly. They have signed a tenant to locate there that they hopefully will announce soon. Thinking about 2040, thinking about, all right, where do we go? Like, these projects are great, but where do we go going forward? How are we going to do it? Where do we identify land? The land owned, I will tell you, I've got a meeting next week in D.C. With somebody that controls a large portion of the land on Murrow Boulevard that I would love for them to consider releasing or finding a higher and better use. Okay? So thinking about how we grow this. The depot we'll talk more about. Ms. Hayes, the Guilford County School land, that's significant. I would love nothing more than to partner with y'all on how to get that out of y'all's hands, get you the revenue that you need so that we can all be happy with that transition. You've got the property on the northwest corner. I love the two-story building on Washington Street. I think that could be great on apartments or condos even. Of course, I don't know what's going on with the schools, but there's a lot of municipal-owned land that can be higher and better use. The land, quite frankly, diagonal from the green bean. Folks like us don't like flat surface parking lots. We want growth, and I would think municipalities would want tax base. So we're thinking, where can we grow and how do we grow forward? The News and Records site, just to cover that, the day it fell out of contract, which was January 19th, I slept on it, got up January 20th, and sent a bunch of emails to a bunch of people. I didn't think it would get the attention that it got, quite frankly, but it was worth a try. And as you see, there used to be a building right here. It's down. On Tuesday, the award was given to D.H. Griffin to remediate the asbestos from the site and demo it ASAP afterwards. So the building's coming down, which has been a blight in our community for a long time. And so I'm very excited that this building is coming down. I'm so excited, and I will tell you, Berkshire Hathaway was not as excited about being in the newspaper or the media as I was excited about getting them in there. We've got active discussions, and I've connected a few folks with the real estate brokers involved. We have active discussions with a terrific potential for the News and Record site. So the best thing we ever did was just get the building down. Mixed-use development on the depot. I'm going to invite my friend Mark to come on up. We're almost done. One of the things we did on our 2030 plan was when the community said, what do you want? What do you want? There were things like move the Coliseum downtown. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I can pull that one off. It was trolleys or vehicle structures and multimodal. And so Dr. Ali with North Carolina A&T, raise your hand. Ali, we got together, and DGI worked with North Carolina A&T State to do autonomous vehicle trolleys connecting North Carolina A&T to downtown Greensboro. And hopefully we've got some plans coming up soon that you'll hear more about. So we're checking the box of what was on there. And one of them was the depot. How do you activate, which is why, quite frankly, we wanted to have this at the depot, but we had such a large turnout, I didn't want my friends, Chief Robinson and the fire department to kick us out. So we moved it here. Markers with MIG, one of a preeminent international design and consultation engineering firms. I'm going to let you tell them what you came up with.
Thanks. Appreciate you, Zach. When Zach mentioned the opportunity of coming to talk to y'all today, I was thrilled. I said, Zach, I've got like 100 slides. I'd love to. He said, Mark, more like 10 slides perhaps. And we landed somewhere in the middle. I'm probably going to be talking fast in part because I have a lot of content, but I'm also just very excited to talk about this particular project. Downtown Greensboro, you know it, you love it. Zach gave you a lot of great insight into where that's been going. And underpinning, I think, one of the points that Zach had made, the depot, which I'm going to be focused on today, is part of a much bigger mosaic of opportunities for downtown, right? Downtown goes beyond Elm Street, and there was a lot of great opportunity when we think about the depot. The 2030 strategic vision plan, as you can imagine, it had goals, it had strategies, but importantly for today, there were a lot of big moves that were part of that. Some of it was underway already with the AV connections, working with university, but again, the mixed-use development at the depot is something that we wanted to explore further as part of this. And in the implementation, the mixed-use depot development was one of those near-term projects that Downtown Greensboro Inc. and the community really wanted to focus on. So as we zoom into where the depot is, kind of on the southern edge of downtown against the rail, we want to think about not just the site itself, but its context, right? News and Record across the street, the ongoing development with the garages and the hotel. You know, we're just up the road in this beautiful facility here, the terminus of the church. The depot can and should be a lot more than it is today when we think about the future of the site. Existing conditions, when we started our analysis and working with leaders in the community and then building from the vision plan itself, we want to start with the physical condition, both the architecture, the exterior, the interior, and thinking about the history of that space, and we start to think about how do we adapt that to better meet the needs of the community moving forward. A lot of fancy words up here. I'm not going to read all of those, but in summary, when we think about the depot, it's about creating that destination, that anchor and that gateway sense of arrival. It's thinking about a range of uses beyond just transit or beyond just convenience. Thinking about the history of the depot to make sure we're acknowledging that and responding to it appropriately in the future. And then I think importantly of this, noting that it will be delivered in big and small moves, right? There's not one silver bullet to fix everything all at once, and being able to address those needs over time in a phased implementation is going to be really important to establish that captivating brand and identity in the future. So thinking about the depot itself and the site, as we look to how to translate those principles into place, into something that has physical form, kind of two bigger buckets in there, right? New uses in existing buildings and active gathering spaces. So if we're going to break down those specific elements, it's about those new uses, cafes, lounges, museums in those existing buildings. It's about business incubation. It's about active gathering spaces adjacent to very prominent architecture when you think about some of the other depots around the country and the presence you have at the terminus of an axis like Church Street It's really important to think about what that presence is in the open space. Food halls and terraces to support that. Family-oriented community open space is part of this, right? When we think about all age groups, all family typologies, to make sure that we're addressing as many user needs as possible. And then a range of mixed uses to support, I think, what is the historic components of the depot, which other development opportunities in the mixed use capacity. If I was going to take all of that and put those back into words, organizing all those activities and experiences that we talked about, the big two pieces here are opportunities for social gathering and how people interact when they're together, right? And trying to create as broad a range of uses as possible when we think about the depot's future. I'm going to talk through four kind of big elements of how we've refined the vision over the past few months here, building off the 2030 strategic vision plan. It starts with the civic and cultural components focused on the hall itself. Thinking of it as an event space with a restaurant, museum components. That's not a novel idea. When we think about great historic architecture from a terrain standpoint across the country, there's a lot of great examples to look to, whether it's Kansas City or Denver or otherwise. The idea that the depot or a train station can and should be a destination is something that we have a great precedent for. And we have a great starting point. It is a beautiful building. The architectural aesthetic in there is fantastic, right? And it had activity in the past. Some of y'all may have attended the Hootie and the Blowfish concert, I believe in the 90s or so, or First Fridays. When we think about that activation, though, it's part programming and part physical space. So the idea of being really intentional of how we activate that space is thinking about the holiday components that Zach and his team have really built upon and expanded over his tenure there. It's thinking about new physical spaces to accommodate either restaurants or museum elements. And those are the types of things that we think as a starting point are some of those smaller moves that once you move to activation, it's an easier kind of ball to start rolling as we look towards that momentum that Zach was speaking to. The other element is multi-experiential, framing it as the market. So when we think to the upper terrace today and the services that are there, there's some consolidation of the transit ticketing and some underutilized office space that can be better aligned to create an outdoor terrace and food hall that responds to those arriving by bus, as well as the destination component that we're striving for. Again, great precedent, not a novel idea, but it's how those all get woven together that we really want to focus on when we think about those types of restaurant or food hall accommodations. So when we think to the upper terrace today and how large portions of it are blocked off, we want to think about how we best open those up and actively program those spaces throughout the week, throughout the season, and throughout the year. Third of those elements is focused on social gathering and generally framed as the stairs. So people watching is part of what we do as creatures, right? We like the idea of being able to interact, to see space. I think Zach noted it for a couple of the opportunities that exist in downtown already. And stairs are a great way to do that. I mean, you can look at any city across the country and find those elements where people pause and gather, whether it's, we have Rome in here, we have Portland, we have Denver, we have this and that. The idea of creating a little bit of elevation change so people can pause and take in either views or have lunch or whatever the case may be is something that we want to look to recreate. And when doing so, we can start with a challenge, right? When we have great grade changes across the site, like we do here, we know there's a big change in elevation. Architecture can make up that change, and open space can make up that change. So when we're looking at kind of dirt or sloped hills, we can think about that more as an amenity rather than a challenge, and we're trying to connect upper and lower spaces. And the last point I'll note, I want to tie us back to the Downtown 2030 Vision Plan and the strategies that came out of that, the first one being supporting entrepreneurs and small businesses. So if we go through that particular strategy with the goal of supporting and sustaining those small businesses and some of the specific actions that came of that, it was supporting a Black entrepreneur program to improve access and capital and technical assistance. When we think about that from a spatial standpoint, we want to think about the history of the depot and how to better position those spaces to support the community in the future. So an entrepreneurial hub, which was identified during the vision plan, has continued to be a key talking point and consideration as we've refined the project, co-working space being anchored in the existing train depot itself. So using the model of bringing folks together in a work environment, we want to think about spaces that are left over right now. They're not being used, right? They're these remnant spaces, and intentionally designing and augmenting them to better support the needs of a range of uses within the depot's kind of vision for the future itself. That was the same amount of slides that Zach had. I just talked a lot faster and flipped. Whew. Thank you, yeah. And on that note, I'll hand it on back over to Zach.
Mark is going to be here as well and would love, I know, to talk more about it. This, I met with city staff 2 years ago. This section, does anybody know what this section is? That was the former African American entrance. So to see that section not utilized is a shame. So when we're thinking about the vision of 2040, we're thinking about buildings that are otherwise underutilized, and you're thinking about assets, which the Galleon Depot is one of our greatest assets. The mayor brought in the mayor of Raleigh a month ago. How did she get here? She got here by the train. This is what you see, right? This is what you see. I mean, that's it. That's it. That's what it looks like. So how do we have a public-private partnership in which to enhance one of the greatest assets that we have in a way that it should be utilized? This, by the way, I mentioned, the best splash pad in Greensboro is at Barber Park. It brings families together, the community together. So that section right there, to the left would be the former African American entrance. Let's put a Barber Park splash pad there. Let's bring families together. The steps right there, that'd be easy. We talked about tying it in. People talk to me about a food hall all the time. Well, we have interest. Where that public market is, where it stands up there, it's an underutilized asset. We've gone ahead and branded the depot. We've put lights up, public-private partnership with the city. DGI paid half, the city paid half. We're doing this stuff now. You may not see it every day. This is stuff that we're doing now. And I want to work with the chamber on some type of hub, of entrepreneurial hub. And I saw Joey Cheek in here where he visited the depot with us about an African-American entrepreneurial hub in the former entrance of the depot for them. And then how to activate the space and make it a public asset versus what it is today. And again, you don't do a plan right there, which should be that. DGI was allotted $1 million in ARP funds to do a container hub, thinking about how we utilize the space at the depot. Quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, there's a big office park about 45 minutes, an hour down the road that started doing a container hub where you take old shipping containers, you try to put restaurants in it, you try to put retail in it, and I think the original budget was $3.5 million. I'll say $5 million. It's now at $15 million. So reality in our office is we can't do it for $1 million. What can we do to make an impact on a property, in this case, a city-owned property, that gets city, county, state, federal attention, the investment that it needs? I'd like to thank Congresswoman Manning. You just announced yesterday, that she helped award a transit-oriented development grant of $500,000. Kathy, if you'd stand. I don't know in total what Congresswoman Manning has brought to our triad, but I know it's significant, and your leadership with Grace has been duly noted and respected, and we thank you. All right, that's the depot. Now, as we get to a close, because I know everybody's got a busy morning, how are we going to help brand and market Greensboro, downtown Greensboro? How are we going to somewhat tell the story? And so in this campaign that we've talked about is, how do you create something bold? How do you grab people's attention? How when you put an ad in a billboard or on a billboard in a print mag and somewhere, wherever you do it and all the multimedia aspects that you have, how are you going to grab somebody's attention? Because if you just put another face and another body, how do you differentiate downtown Greensboro from any other downtown or community? And so what we went in is, what's popular right now? What is everybody talking about? AI. But what's real in AI? And the campaign that we came up with was Downtown Greensboro, see for yourself. Taste what's real. Create what's real. Celebrate what is real. And it grabs your attention and makes you think. Because what's real is in their eyes. See it. See what's real. Again, we don't want to be like everybody's downtown. We want to be bold. Greensboro needs to be bold. Let's be the leader. And I know there's some city south of here that has a lot. But so do we. We just got to grab people's attention. And we can do it. We're doing it. We grabbed the world's attention with Toyota. We're grabbing the world's attention with Boom. We're grabbing the world's attention with the civil rights that we've got. They know us. We just don't do a good job of saying, come see for yourself. And so the intent of this is come see for yourself. And, bold. Let's be bold. It's time for Greensboro to be bold. And yes, it's intentional if you know where that building is. We may start around here, but if you think about it, 70% of the folks visiting downtown are outside of 5 miles. So how do we keep growing to get people's attention in other parts of the state? Quite frankly, other states. There's a lot of people visiting Danville, Virginia right now for some tent that's up there. How do we get them to stay with us? Go get their fun on and come back and spend the money that they want or commiserate with. How do we show Charlotte? Charlotte, if you live in Charlotte, Charlotte's got a lot. You're probably bored with it. Come to Greensboro, check us out. Durham, Winston-Salem, Asheville, other places that want to see. See for yourself, DGSO. Again, the digital aspects, the food, pops, we want to understand, and I think in our opinion, everybody's talking AI. Embrace the future. We did it with autonomous vehicles with North Carolina A&T. How do we continue to be authentic and embrace the future? And this is a 60-second spot of one of the ways that we're going to intend to do that. Mind you, you'll be able to also see 15-second and 30 seconds. Also, mind you, quite frankly, this is still a work in progress. But I think this captures a feel for where we're going.
Where AI ends, real experiences begin. Taste what's real in downtown Greensboro.
Let's get together. Let's get together. Let's get together. Everybody, let's get together. Let's get together. Let's get together. Like family. It's getting crazy. All you people out there, listen now. Let's get together. Let's get together. Let's get together. Everybody, let's get together. Let's get together. Let's get together. Like family.
Downtown Greensboro. See for yourself.
Again, in that world of AI, embrace it. Because if you're running from the future, you're never going to get there. So let's embrace it. Let's tell the story. Let's have people come see for themselves. Now, what are we going to do from our organization, Downtown Greensboro Incorporated, to keep the conversations going? We're going to have, at the time, quarterly downtown dialogues. I was talking with one of my unsheltered friends in the park, and he said, Instead of that, it's too formal. Call it Talk Smack with Zach, and I'll host it. Y'all don't know how close that came to being up here. BJ's his name, if you know him. And it was, Downtown Dish, but Downtown Dialogues. We're going to have it at various businesses. We're going to just, hey, let's hang out and continue the dialogue. Because things that'll come up, whether it's announcements from Trad Stage, or what's coming to Fordham Drug, or what's coming to wherever, the poorhouse, what building's for sale, what building's doing this, are you getting any investments from outside? Hey, what can we do to help with the unsheltered population? How can we work with 16th Street Ministry to help have centralized feedings? How can you help me get an apartment? Can I buy a house? I mean, these are the things that we get constantly. Every day, it's just constant. So instead, we're like, let's just go. We can do town halls, but I don't know who would be interested after this because I gave you a bunch of information. But this is what we're going to do. The first one is going to be May 16th at Melrose Cafe. And there will be a sign-up that goes out. And again, this is just a goal to say, hey, let's get together and talk. Now, as I close, these are our events that we've got. How many employees did I say we have? 8. Some of which are part-time. In the process, we work with a lot of partners. Shayla Sharp, who helps run, or basically does run, the Fun Fourth Festival with our partners with the city. But we've got Beach Music Festival we're launching. We've got Chairman of the Board May 9th, the Embers the 16th, Jim Quick the 30th, June 13th, Eric and the Chill Tones, June 27th, the Tams. I'd like to thank Will Berry with Barraco. I saw Garson Rice here with Toyota of Greensboro, and Scott Baker with Town Bank, and the Grasshoppers. I saw Tim. It doesn't happen without partners. That's called collaboration and partnership. So thank Town Bank, Toyota of Greensboro, and Barraco and your Grasshoppers for partnering with us. Fun Fourth Festival. It's July 4th. Betty Cohn's in the audience. Betty, you helped save the depot. Think about what let's give Betty Cohn a round of applause. You look back and think about what Betty has touched with Carolina Theater or the depot or just Greensboro in general. It's been tough to fill some shoes, but thank you for everything. So we're carrying forward your Fun Fourth. The Freedom Run, which is a run part of the Fun Fourth, something I guess I almost forgot. And an active, somebody saw our Instagram, there was a pickle jar next to the Greensboro thing. We are aiming to do a pop-up pickleball tournament. If you can't beat them, you might as well join them. One of the largest, fastest growing sports around, but this is going to be a way to activate the depot. We've got to figure out ways to publicly engage folks to re-engage with the depot. So this will be a 5-court pop-up pickleball tournament May 4th and 5th, the first weekend in May, which will have sign-up sheets. We're working with other folks around it. As I mentioned, August 3rd and 4th will be the 20th anniversary of Natty Greens. We plan to have an outdoor concert, working with the potential with the Wyndham Championship, which is the following week. But we want to celebrate as much as we can. We'll have our annual DGI celebration in the fall, the Festival of Lights, the first week in December. I'll tell you, I know the tree has been in the Center City Park for a number of years. The picture at the depot and thinking about how we could turn the depot into a Polar Express type experience is something we're working on. How to engage folks at the depot. The holiday parade, you can come jingle jog. I know Otis and Wawa also has their SantaCon. And Santa at the Biltmore, I'm probably going to audible that now that Mark showed his presentation, and we're going to have Santa at the depot. One of the things that we try to do at DGI, we got to be fluid. We can't be stagnant. Something Greensboro needs to do is we've got to be fluid. We can't be stagnant. Let's continue to grow together. Let's continue to celebrate together. I can't tell you how happy I am to see so many folks. And in a world of negativity, in a world of uncertainty, In a world of, quite frankly, I want to say bullshit, but my mom's here. So can I say that? What we got to do is stay positive about our community. Stay positive about downtown. Stay positive about our county. Stay positive about our state and our country. Because we got a lot to be proud of. And hopefully today you got something that makes you even a little bit prouder about the city you're living in. Our team, as I've mentioned throughout the program, will be around to discuss the marketing, to discuss the financials, to discuss the economic impact, which was what for the state of North Carolina? $4 billion. Thank you all for coming.